Wait a minute, I hear something.
Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Blueberry News! Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Yeah!
Oh, you know what time it is? It's Dr. Movie time. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Rick here, driving in the vehicle, and gonna talk about another movie for you. And this one is on Tubi. So you know how that is. You see the artwork and it's, hey, if you like this movie, maybe you should try this movie. It's one of those. And we are talking about the 1983 The Alchemist. I don't have much more to say about it. That's about it. It says, I'm sorry, it says it's a western, or a horror slash western. I don't know anything western in this movie. I mean, I'm from Tennessee. I mean, I should know western, right? When it comes to cowboys and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing western in this movie. Just saying. So what do we got here? We got an alchemist puts a curse on a 19th century glassmaker to live and kill as a beast forever. Wow. That's true. We are leaving out a lot of details, but even with those details, who really cares? It's got a 3.8 out of 10, which I think you're already getting the feeling that maybe I'm not as big of a fan of this one, but let's talk about it anyways, because there is some things to talk about. First thing to talk about is it's directed by Charles Band. So there you go. I mean, that's an explanation for a lot of things right there. Do we have, I don't even know if we've got a why to watch on this one, because, you know, there's a where to watch, and guess what? You can watch it on Tubi. I don't see a why to watch, and oh, here we go. Why to watch? I'm shocked here. A slightly surreal horror with a romantic storyline with plenty of enjoyable special effects and good music. Yeah, okay. It's trashy but effective, making for some choice moments of nasty fun. The non-gore effects are great too. There's some gore in this. That's all. It's just two things. I didn't get a 3-word description. I kind of missed that. Let's talk a little bit about a cast that we have in this movie. We start off with our main character, which is Aaron McCallum, is the character name. He's the one that gets cursed, and that's played by Robert Genty. That's right, the Exterminator himself. If you ever watch the Exterminator movies, it's this guy, which is what I know him for. Pretty much everybody else in this movie, I don't know that there's much sense in talking about. I mean, they've popped up in some things here and there, but that's about it. I mean, let's see who John Sanderford is kind of an innocent bystander in this movie. What was he in? Oh, Leprechaun. Yeah. So, like I said, most of these people that are in this, they've either worked with more Charles Band stuff, or some made-for-TV stuff. So, not a lot to talk about cast-wise. But it did take me a while. I mean, when I was watching this, I said, man, I know this guy's face. And sure enough, it's the Exterminator, which I need to cover both of those on this show. If you're an Exterminator fan, say whoop whoop. All right. If you haven't seen the Exterminator or Exterminator 2, you want to fix that. And yeah, I'll try to get those on the show. That's some of that nasty 80s stuff that you need to talk about. So let's try to talk about this one. It starts off in the 1800s, and this guy's putting his daughter to bed, which is Robert Jentick's character, Aaron. And he lays his daughter down, says it's all right, you're gonna be fine, yada yada, And his wife has disappeared, and he finds her. He traces her down, and she's walking out in the woods, and she's meeting this guy, who's apparently the Alchemist, and he's worked his magic on her to swoon her and leave her husband and come to him, and so we have a confrontation, and Aaron goes to stab the Alchemist, and he moves out of the way and he stabs his wife instead. Therefore, the Alchemist is upset, I guess, and decides to put a curse on him to pretty much make him a beast. And you get a scene of him walking away carrying his dead wife, and he sets her down, and then he looks at his hand, there's blood all over it, and he screams, and then the title comes up, which I have to admit, I think the logo, the title, is pretty cool for this movie. And then from there it jumps into like 1955. So we're not doing a modernized thing here, even though you can tell it's the 80s, or at least 1980, but it's supposed to be 1955, and the only thing that really shows it is the car that the lady is driving. So we're watching this lady drive a car, and it happens to be it's the same lady that played Aaron's wife, but this is supposed to be, it's not her, but she's identical. It's that thing. It's the, transferred into time kind of thing. She stops, picks up a hitchhiker, and she's kind of crude to him quite a bit, and he decides, hey, just let me off here and I'll just take care of this myself. Well, she's having these blackout moments where she's seeing images of things that happened in the past. And when I mean the past, I mean 1800s past, right? It's just little snippets, things that it's just kind of, throwing her for a loop. But lo and behold, they end up liking each other, and she ends up wrecking the car, and they're out in the middle of nowhere. And while this is going on, we see out in the woods something going on, and an animal's being tracked down and killed, and you see human hands grabbing this animal. I don't know if it was a deer or a wild boar or whatever it is, but it's obviously killed it and going to eat it. And it happens to be our character Aaron. So like I said, he's cursed to live this way forever. And he goes to this lady's house named Esther, who kind of takes care of him, and she's trying to change the curse and get him out of it. I might have missed something here. She might have been an acquaintance while she was younger, and now she's grown older, even though he can't really age because of the spell, kind of the Highlander kind of thing. But she's taking care of him, and then she decides she's going to try to do something to break the spell. Well, while all this is going on, our couple, like I said, they have a car wreck, or the car messes up on them, and now they're on foot, and they run into Aaron when he's out and about one day, and he's smitten by the girl because, it's his original wife that all this happened with, even though she's like, nope, that's not me. And so from there you get, all this going on, and apparently she is her, just kind of reincarnated, yada yada. And this guy's made all these cool things out of glass, and they end up going back to the cabin, all three of them, and seeing all this stuff, and he starts telling the story, and then it becomes kind of Evil Dead-ish for a minute, because then they're saying, oh well, the spell has been kind of lifted to a degree. But what has happened is it's bringing, it's opened a gate to hell on Earth. Sounds like an Italian flick. And these demons are going to start coming after them. So we get some demons coming after them that really reminds me of, when the aliens come and try to stop the last starfighter, right? So they come to the trailer park and they're trying to kill him. These demons kind of remind me of those aliens, because they're kind of faceless ghouls that are really expendable, and you really don't. I mean, there's nothing to them. They just go rah, 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 right? So it's just another thing to throw in there. But the problem is with this movie, and I'll go ahead and tell you, it's just not interesting. It's not interesting till you get to about the last 10 minutes when it all kind of folds out in front of you, I guess. So there's just a lot of time in here. You're just like, But I will say, some of the effects are really good for the time, right? The portal looks pretty cool. The demons kind of look like what you expect 80s alien demons to look like, where they're dressed all in black and they got a big goofy head. They run over one of them, and it's just like the scene from Jeepers Creepers to a point. I mean, a wing doesn't pop out, thank goodness. One of the stupidest things that ever happened in a movie, in my opinion. I don't want to get off into that, but I don't know, man. I love Jeepers Creepers up until he got ran over and he's got wings. You're like, so you're telling me this demon could fly the whole time, but he's going to drive a big truck instead? That's pretty lame. So, pretty lame is in my ears and in my eyes. Yeah, just came up with that myself, folks. Anywho, back to this mess. You kind of get the showdown between Aaron and the Alchemist again, because they're still fighting over the same woman. And this time, and it's all set up just like the original fight, where the girl's too close behind, and if he moves out of the way, he'll stab the girl. But he doesn't do it this time, and he actually stabs the Alchemist. And you think he's dead, and they all come back out of the portal, and then all of a sudden, the Alchemist is trying to come out of the portal and grab them, and he tries to grab the girl or pull her back into his time, which I have to admit, inside the portal is very Phantasm-like. Especially the last Phantasm movie, where they actually go in there and it's all CGI'd and everything. This kind of looks like that, almost a little Stranger Thing-ish. But again, 1983, I'm telling you, the effects are not bad. So if you're into just checking out that stuff, you can just kind of fast forward to about 45 minutes into the movie and see the good stuff. But he reaches through, and then they actually do kind of a Phantasm thing on him, where he's sticking halfway out, and then all of a sudden the spell is broke, and the door closes, and it cuts him in half, and half of his body falls out in the real world, while the other half is over in, dreamland. And there you go. There's the end of the movie. And then Aaron lays down on the ground because he's aging rapidly, and he dissolves away. And they, again, pulling from some of the Italian stuff, because they do the wax where they melt it down. The face is a wax mask, and it's melting, and it looks a lot like some Fulci stuff. And then he turns into dust, and then our couple are free to go live their lives in 1955 and forget it ever happened. That's kind of it. I've pretty much said everything I want to say about it. It's not a bad watch. It's just a long watch, and it shouldn't be. It needed a few more things to happen in it, but it just kind of trods along, and you're just like, okay. And you start looking at your clock, going, all right, how much more have we got to go on this? But like I said, the wraparound on it is pretty good. Some pretty decent effects, but just not one to really say, ooh, I like this movie. So that's pretty much my thoughts on this one. You may be a fan of it, and that's totally fine. To each his own, right? So, but you can let me know if you're familiar with this movie, or if you like this movie, or if you don't like this movie. Let me know, so I'm not just talking to myself all the time. All right, folks, that's it for this one. We will talk to you later.